Part 2. During the crisis. Communication. Once a crisis has occurred, you will certainly be hearing from the media. Jim Hanley, Executive Director of the Florida Cattlemen's Association, has some real-world experience to share. The beef cattle industry managed a crisis situation in the media that started December 23, 2003, when a cow in the United States was diagnosed with BSE, bovine spongiform encephalopathy, also known as mad cow disease. It was the first ever discovery of a cow with this disease in the United States, and there was tremendous interest from the media and potential fear in the consumers of beef. We activated a dark website, conducted a series of information-sharing conference calls, mobilized a network of spokespersons to respond to media inquiries, and conducted interviews. Fact sheets were distributed to the media, as well as within the industry, to make sure factual information was distributed in a timely manner nationwide. Daily conference calls were conducted to educate the media, answer questions, and keep all the facts front and center for the media to use in the reporting of this news story. This was a very good example of managing the crisis with a plan, maintaining consumer confidence, and serving the needs of the media to a positive outcome. The American public was more confident about the safety of beef following the incident than it had been prior to it. Jim's story highlights a number of tips about how to communicate with the media during a crisis situation. This is the second part of our Crisis Communication Plan checklist, communication during a crisis. We have 14 steps in Part 2. Don't forget to look at the photos as clues to help you remember the steps. Step 1. Gather information. Classify information into categories, such as facts and rumors. In the first few hours after a crisis, a huge amount of misinformation can spread online. Miscommunication can be exaggerated by half-truths, distortions, or negative perceptions. Facts should be routinely updated, and rumors should be dealt with swiftly, either exposed as myths or verified. Do not repeat opinions, hearsay, or assumptions. 2. Develop messages and then communicate the messages and the facts. Develop a few clear, simple messages for the media. These messages should be delivered by the same person repeatedly. The message should communicate concern about what is happening and explain what the organization is doing to address the crisis. In a crisis that involves physical harm or a health risk to the public, provide guidance to the public and get them the information they need quickly. For example, if it's an evacuation, have a plan to communicate quickly so the public can evacuate quickly and safely. Step 3. Provide graphics. Lisa Lockridge has some more advice for us on this topic. She recommends using drawings, graphics, or diagrams to help you illustrate your point about a process that may be complicated. She says that in today's media world, visuals are a must. Step 4. Be active, not reactive. Tell it all and tell it fast. Take the offensive when a serious matter occurs. If the company's voice isn't heard within the first 24 hours after a crisis, preferably the first 6 hours, you could be in trouble. 5. Centralize information. Designate one spokesperson who communicates effectively, knows your communication plan, and comes across as trustworthy and caring. A central spokesperson provides a single face for the reporters. Viewers become familiar with the spokesperson, so this is a way to build credibility with the organization. 6. Control the message. Stick to the message and the facts. Control the information that is given out. For example, if bad news will be released to reporters, be upfront about it and get it out quickly, instead of letting bad news trickle out over a longer period of time. A large negative message dump is better than smaller negative pieces being reported throughout the day. 7. Control the flow of information. Hold regularly scheduled news conferences or reports so that info is aired frequently and reliably. Step 8. Do not get angry. Do not get angry. Do not get angry. Keep your cool in an interview or conference with reporters. Some questions may seem hostile or like a personal attack, but remember, they are trying to get info on a crisis-oriented story that may have widespread impacts on their audiences. Step 9. Stay on the record in all interviews. This means that information you provide to the news reporter can be attributed to you. Off the record, on the other hand, means that you are providing information that you do not want attributed to you. Do not go off the record. You'll likely see that in print the next day anyway. Do not be lured into going off record. Step 10. Do not say no comment. Try to have an answer for reporters' questions, but if you do not have an answer, just say, I don't know, but I'll find out. Saying no comment appears to viewers and readers that you have something to hide. 11. Respond to the news media quickly and fairly. Reporters want to get the message out to the public. If you don't give them the information, they'll get it from another source, and then you lose control of the message. Plus, the news audience will wonder why you're not talking, and they'll probably think you have something to hide. So it's best to cooperate with reporters, be sensitive to deadlines, and provide all reporters with the same information. Step 12. Keep track of media calls and requests. You will use this information later as you evaluate your crisis plan and your response to the crisis. Step 13. In any crisis situation, follow every order, direction, or suggestion from emergency officials. And last but certainly not least, step 14, write everything down. Maintain a crisis communication inventory of what was said, by whom, and at what time. This way you will have a record of the event and how it was communicated. You can evaluate your responses to better be prepared if another crisis happens in the future. Taking photographs is also a good way to document what's going on, especially in the case of a natural disaster. Although it may be difficult to remember in a crisis situation, in this day and age, almost everyone has a decent camera on their phone. Remember to use it. We have an interview preparation guide. Consider using it to help with several steps in Part 2, including helping you identify your main message, anticipating questions, and practicing your responses to those questions. I'm going to pause again for a moment. Please review these steps in Part 2. Has your organization or agency taken any of these steps? Take a minute to identify gaps that your organization or agency may need to address in order to communicate during a crisis.